Hey there, Kim here. So, about last night, I hosted one of the guided writing workshops for newbies that I host a couple times a month. These are free workshops, and I'm just going to cut to the chase. I had a bunch of hecklers, a bunch of trolls on this session last night, and I have to be honest, it went on for like the first 15 minutes. I double checked the timestamp in the chat, on and off for the first 15 minutes, and I was, as I'm leading a workshop, multitasking to attempt to like boot people out of the Zoom as they're doing and saying things that are not relevant to the session. So I'll get to that in a minute. But the reason that I'm actually sharing this is because I think there's like a little metaphorical lesson. Maybe I'm reaching, but I had this moment last night after the session when I was reflecting on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like this was like a microcosm of what can happen when we're trying to do something new or play big, as Tara Moore puts it, because that was the beginning of my session. The end of my session, I'm just going to read a couple of the quotes, or the responses rather, that came in the chat when I was wrapping up the session. Thanks, Kim. I really like this session. As someone who facilitates self-care classes, I appreciated the format, your patience, and the sequence of your class. Thanks again. Phenomenal session. Thanks so much for hosting. The exercises definitely helped me to get out of my own head and helped me see I could do this. Thank you so much. You are so professional. Thank you. You are, all caps, the best. Multiple exclamation points. Now, I'm not sharing this to toot my own horn or to make it seem like I'm some sort of unicorn. I'm sharing this because a session that started out what felt in the moment like an absolute unequivocal disaster ended in that way. And it ended in that way because the people who were there showed up, the people who were there for real reasons, showed up and stayed in the community. And I was able to muster the ability to navigate that negative experience in the beginning. We got through it together and came out on the other side. Now, I don't mean to be overly dramatic about this. I had people, coming off mute, saying random stuff. I had obscenities in the chat. I had people disrespecting other people in the meeting in the chat. And it would have been really easy. And for a split second, I actually considered just ending the thing and being like, y'all, I'm sorry for the people who came here for real reasons. We just have to shut it down. And I'm just going to go over and crawl up in this corner. But kind of without consciously making the decision, I was just like, I'm not doing that. People started responding in the chat to the questions I was asking, the actual questions I was asking. And it reminded me, okay, there are people here who do want to be here. And for those people, I'm going to keep going. And so we did together. We kept going. And after about 15 minutes of dealing with that, the trolls, the whatever, the interrupters, the naysayers, we moved on and we had a pretty beautiful session together. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I almost feel like that was this like little mini version of what can happen to any of us, whether we're entrepreneurs or not, any of us, when we are starting to do things outside of our comfort zone, starting to push ourselves, starting to reach for something different, exploring, experimenting, trying new things. There may be those naysayers and those negative responses. Sometimes that may show up as actual people who have something negative to say, who are critical, who are doubting you. Sometimes that negativity and that negative energy that we experienced last night may be actually your own internal critic and your own voice in your head. But what last night reminded me was that with the support of other people and with the tenacity and the dedication and commitment that can come from being within a community, we can work through those negative things, those negative criticisms, whether they're external or internal, and end up with something that may feel a little bit messy, but in the end is actually really beautiful. And so that was my like full circle moment of just like, let's take this like hour and 15 minutes of what I experienced, and Kim, this is a day, a week, a month in the life of anyone who is working to play big, as Tara Moore would say. So wanted to share that reflection. And I am just candidly hoping for no trolls on my next workshop. But if they do show up, I know that together with the other people in my community and that have shown up for that space and to be together to hold space with one another, they won't touch us. See you soon.